Good evening everyone and welcome back to the channel for the second EX Plus analysis of the day. Before I go on, I want to mention that in the video's description you can find a playlist of my previous characters analysis and a playlist of my tier list videos starting from January 2020. Today we're gonna be talking about my boy, the one and only triple S tier character slash best tank this game has ever seen, everyone's favorite Final Fantasy V Grand Pack Galuf. As you may already know, I really love this unit, so much that I kept using him in Chaos with just his 35 CP, the last time being in the Cerberus raid. I will try my best to stay neutral in this video, but fair warning, I'm really biased towards Galuf. He gets his brand new EX along with a realization tomorrow in General Leo's banner. I'm going to go over Galuf's strengths and weaknesses, as well as which artifacts you should be aiming for, and finally if he's worth investing and how much you should invest in him. Before we begin, I want to remind you that these are just my opinions and you should always do some research on your own before deciding on things, and hopefully this video will help you on that. Also, for just this once, only as a small Galuf tribute, in the video's description I will also link every single Chaos video fight that included my 35 CP Galuf up until today. So let's get this analysis started. For this analysis, I will be talking about the purple Galuf since that is the peak of his power, so try to keep that in mind. I fell in love with this character the moment he got his level 60 awakening, and he was my favorite tank to use back in the day. Galuf's EX Plus fixes most of his problems, like being able to dodge magic attacks, which he now can thanks to his EX buff, which is very stacked. The buff is called Soul of Dawn, and it increases Galuf's attack and evasion rate, grants him HP regen, meaning he can finally sustain himself, and last but not least, it reduces the brave damage taken for the whole party, an effect which is similar to Selfie's wall but even stronger. He becomes a longevity monster thanks to all of the buffs he provides to himself and the party being increased by many turns, and with his EX being up every other turn, he rarely needs to spend any skill if he doesn't need to refresh the buffs. Galuf has the standard last stand passive that most tanks have nowadays, and in combination with his double evasion buff and his HP regen, he will likely never die in a fight. Galuf becomes really turn efficient with his counters, dealing a lot of damage now while also giving him Brave back to help with his next counter and so on. His party utility is also amazing, being in the form of party batteries, buffs, and an amazing party attack aura which is accumulated by his numerous buffs and passives. His AoE shaving capabilities are limited to his EX, which hits really hard and will almost always cap to the maximum overflow limit, but Galuf will mostly shave with his counters, which are more than enough. Even though he can now dodge magic attacks, he sadly can't counter them, meaning his damage output will be severely lowered against heavily magic bosses, and like it has always been, he cannot protect the party from AoE HP attacks. That's still a mechanic which is unique to Bash. Recommended artifacts for Galuf are 108 attack and 330 max brave. Now let's see if you should invest in Galuf. Galuf comes in one of the most valued banners in the Chaos era, along with Leo, so my recommendation would be to pull to get either of these units because they are both great. If Galuf is a favorite, then you should definitely purple him, like I definitely will. But if you hold no emotional attachment to the character, then consider your available tanks right now. Galuf becomes better than any existing tank we have in the game at the moment, but next month Snow arrives with, and he's arguably better than Galuf, mainly because he can reduce the HP damage taken for the whole party. So if you plan on pulling for Snow, then as much as this pains me to say, you shouldn't invest in Galuf, and shame on you. But jokes aside, tanks are a very specific role, and you should always consider your resources and your current roster of tanks before deciding if you should invest or not in any of them. Now let's see how much you should invest in Galuf if you decide to do so, which I'm sure you will. Giving Galuf a book, it provides more overflow for his EX, while also tremendously increasing its potency. Nothing fancy here, starting off pretty basic. This is one of those book upgrades that in my opinion are not worth unless you really want that ingot. Moving on to the 1 ingot investment, it gives Galuf the usual attack and max brave permanent boost, again not worth to stop here. Giving 2 ingots to Galuf makes his EX refund him with 20% of the HP damage dealt as brave, while also allows him to start the stage with his EX buff. To make things even better, Galuf's first action in any stage will be an instant free turn similar to Onion Knights, even though Galuf doesn't get a free skill, and honestly he doesn't need it. That's a hefty upgrade, but we are not done yet. Finally, investing 3 ingots in Galuf increases his EX potency and overflow even further, while also increases the brave hit count from 4 to 6, which makes it an excellent AoE shaving skill. Last but certainly not least, it also unlocks Galuf's HP++, which is a self-battery into a single target 3-hit brave plus HP attack with 120% overflow that increases the party's brave based on the HP damage dealt. I don't think there is any question here that Galuf should be at 3 out of 3, and I'm trying to be as unbiased as I can. If you don't want to use Galuf out of one dimensions and stage, then I wouldn't even use a bug on him unless you want that ingot like I said earlier. If you want to keep using him as a stable tank in your roster, then you need that 3 ingot investment to maximize his EX damage, which is up every other turn, and also have access to his HP++, which will be your main skill in most turns. And that was it for Galuf. I have been waiting for this moment ever since I saw his EX realization in the JP version 9 months ago, and I am so hyped to pull on the banner in a few hours. I don't know about you, but my finger is itching because I haven't used gems since Penelo. I hope you enjoyed this Galuf hype video, his EX plus analysis, and let me know what are your plans for him in the comment section below. As always, thank you for watching and for your support. Stay safe inside your houses, stay awesome, and I'll see you in my pool video in a few hours. See ya!